You must ask yourself, what does it mean to be disliked? And more importantly, why do you fear it? The opinions of broken people are shaped by their own suffering. They do not see you clearly. They see you through the fractures of their own experiences. To be rejected by them is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but of their inability to recognize value, perhaps even their unwillingness to. A man drowning in his own misery will not celebrate your joy. A person consumed by bitterness will not applaud your kindness. And someone who has given up on themselves will not easily welcome your courage to rise. If their hearts are filled with pain, they will not have space to embrace you. And that is not your fault. It is a dangerous thing to seek validation from the wounded, for they will only wound in return. Not because they wish to, but because they know no other way. And if you shape yourself to fit their acceptance, you will become as lost as they are. But there is an alternative. There is a life where you no longer fear being misunderstood. A life where you do not shrink yourself for the comfort of others, nor silence your voice to gain their favor. A life where you stop seeking approval from those who are too broken to give it. Understand this, not everyone will like you, and that is not a tragedy. The tragedy is wasting your life trying to be liked by those who do not even like themselves. The strong will respect you. The wise will see you. The right people will stay. And the wrong ones, they were never meant for you. So walk boldly. Let their disapproval pass over you like the wind, and live not for their acceptance, but for the truth that is already within you. Seeking approval from broken people is a silent trap that many fall into without realizing it. The desire to be accepted is natural, but when that desire becomes a need, especially from those who are lost in their own struggles, it turns into a prison. People often mistake validation for worth, assuming that being liked equates to being valuable. But this is a flawed way to measure oneself, especially when the approval is sought from those who are themselves fragmented, burdened, and unsure of their own path. Broken people are not always malicious, but their perspectives are often skewed by their own pain. If someone has been betrayed repeatedly, they will see deception even where there is none. If they have been abandoned, they will assume distance even when there is closeness. If they have been belittled, they will see arrogance in confidence and hostility in strength. Their perception of others is shaped not by who you are, but by what they have endured. When you seek their approval, you are asking to be measured against standards that were never about you in the first place. This is why the pursuit of their acceptance is futile. No matter how much you try, you will never control the way they see you. You could offer kindness, and it may be mistaken for manipulation. You could extend patience, and it may be seen as weakness. You could stand firm in truth, and it may be perceived as defiance. The problem is not in what you do, but in how they interpret it. And yet, so many exhaust themselves in this pursuit. They modify their words, soften their stance, and dilute their presence, all in an attempt to be more palatable to those who have no intention of truly seeing them. This is not self-improvement, it is self-erasure. It is the slow, subtle process of trading authenticity for acceptance, of losing one's identity to fit into the fragile expectations of others. The weight of this fear is heavy. It causes hesitation, second-guessing, and over-explanation. It makes people hold back their thoughts, suppress their ambitions, and silence their instinct. The more one fears rejection, the more one becomes a shadow of what they could be. Instead of living boldly, they live cautiously. Instead of moving forward, they remain trapped in cycles of self-doubt. And for what? The fleeting approval of those who are too distracted by their own wounds to truly appreciate them. Approval, when given by the wrong people, is a poor substitute for self-respect. It is conditional, fragile, and easily withdrawn. It demands constant maintenance, forcing one to perform rather than simply be. And the moment one fails to meet expectations or worse, surpasses them in ways that make others uncomfortable, that approval disappears, revealing that it was never truly given but merely loaned under strict condition. It is a dangerous thing to tie your value to how others perceive you, especially when those others are themselves uncertain, hurting, or resentful. Broken people often see rejection as a form of control. They withhold acceptance, not because you lack worth, but because they do not know how to give it freely. They make their approval something to be earned, something that keeps you dependent on their ever-changing moods and judgments. But true worth does not need validation. It exists, whether acknowledged or not. To escape this trap, one must detach their self-worth from external opinions. One must recognize that being disliked is not a failure, nor is it an indication of inadequacy. Rather, it is an inevitable part of being authentic. Some will misunderstand, others will resent, and a few will distance themselves. But none of this changes the truth of who you are. Freedom is found in realizing that rejection is not always a loss. Sometimes it is a gift. It reveals who was never truly aligned with you in the first place. It removes the burden of constant performance. It allows space for those who will appreciate you as you are, not as they need you to be. The moment you stop fearing rejection from broken people is the moment you step into true strength. People do not see the world as it is. They see it as they are. Their experiences, wounds, and fears act as filters, distorting reality and shaping their perceptions of others. When someone carries pain that has never been healed, their vision is blurred. They do not merely observe, they interpret. They do not simply listen, they assume. And often, what they assume has little to do with reality and everything to do with the fractures within them. A person who has been betrayed will view loyalty with suspicion. No matter how steadfast you are, they will search for signs of deception. They will analyze your words, dissect your actions, and brace themselves for the moment you confirm their fears. It does not matter how genuine your intentions may be. Their past has already written the script in their minds, and they will look for ways to make you fit into it. A person who has been abandoned will mistake distance for rejection. Even the smallest shift in energy, the most innocent act of solitude, will be taken as confirmation that they are unwanted. They may lash out or withdraw before you ever have a chance to explain. It is not you they are reacting to. It is the echoes of everyone who left before you. A person who has been criticized relentlessly will see judgment in your silence. They will assume your quietness means disapproval, that your lack of excessive reassurance is evidence of disappointment. No matter how much encouragement you offer, they will struggle to believe it. They have spent too long expecting condemnation to trust anything else. When people see through cracked lenses, their perceptions become more about survival than truth. They are not looking to understand. They are looking to defend. Their minds are trained to detect threats, even when none exist. Every interaction is a battlefield where they are bracing for an attack, even if you come in peace. No amount of kindness, patience, or explanation can fully repair another's broken perspective. You can try to prove your sincerity, but to a mind accustomed to betrayal, proof is just another thing to doubt. You can reassure them of your intentions, but to a heart familiar with rejection, reassurance is easily dismissed. You can offer your presence, but to someone conditioned for abandonment, presence is temporary. People trapped in their own wounds will project their pain onto others. If they feel small, they will assume you are trying to belittle them. If they feel powerless, they will see your confidence as arrogance. If they feel unworthy, they will perceive your success as a reminder of their failure. Their struggles are internal, but they externalize them onto you. They make their wounds your responsibility, their fears your burden, their insecurities your fault. It is easy to take this personally, to believe that if you just said the right words, acted the right way, or proved yourself enough, you could change their perception. But their vision is not shaped by you, it is shaped by their past. You are not the one they are fighting. You are simply the nearest reflection of what they have not yet healed. The more you try to be seen correctly by those who cannot see clearly, the more you will exhaust yourself. You will find yourself constantly explaining, constantly defending, constantly trying to shift a perspective that is rooted not in reality, but in deeply embedded wounds. And the more effort you give, the more trapped you become in their distorted reality. Some people will never see you as you are, not because you are unworthy of being seen, but because their lens will not allow it. Their view is fractured, and as long as they refuse to mend it, everything they see, including you, will be fractured too. You cannot fix their lens. You cannot force them to see clearly. You can only choose not to be defined by their distortions. There is a common but dangerous belief that if you just love someone enough, they will heal. If you are patient enough, they will change. If you give enough, they will finally see their own worth. But this is not how healing works. A person cannot be saved by external efforts alone. No matter how much you pour into them, if they do not choose to mend their own wounds, your love will only be absorbed into the void of their unresolved pain. It is noble to want to help others, to stand beside them in their struggles, to be a source of comfort when they are lost. But there is a fine line between supporting someone and losing yourself in the process. When you make their healing your mission, you risk neglecting your own well-being. You begin to bend, sacrifice, and compromise parts of yourself in an attempt to keep them from breaking further. Their pain becomes your burden. Their sadness becomes your responsibility. Their emptiness becomes your mission to fill. You exhaust yourself, trying to be their source of light, only to find that they continue to dwell in darkness. The more you give, the more they take, yet nothing ever seems to be enough. When someone refuses to confront their own demons, they will unknowingly allow those demons to consume you as well. You may think you are helping them, but in reality, you are only draining yourself. Their healing is not something you can force, and their wounds are not something you can carry. If they are unwilling to do the internal work necessary to grow, your sacrifices will be in vain. There is a difference between being compassionate and being consumed. Compassion is offering kindness without losing your own stability. Consumption is when their struggles begin to dictate your emotions, your choices, and your peace. You do not have to destroy yourself to prove your love. You do not have to sacrifice your happiness to keep them from falling apart. Some people are not looking to be healed. They are looking for someone to sustain their brokenness. They do not seek growth. They seek comfort in their suffering. They do not want change. They want to remain as they are while pulling you deeper into their world. If you are not careful, their stagnation will become yours. You will find yourself making excuses for their behavior. You will tolerate mistreatment under the guise of understanding. You will justify their inability to meet you halfway because you believe that if you just hold on a little longer, they will finally change. But they will not until they choose to. Love cannot substitute for accountability. No matter how much you care, a person will not transform unless they decide to. You cannot heal someone who refuses to acknowledge their wounds. You cannot teach self-worth to someone determined to believe they are unworthy. You cannot force someone to see the value in themselves if they have made a habit of rejecting it. Your love should not be a sacrifice. It should be a gift that is appreciated, reciprocated, and respected. If your presence is only valued when you are bending to fit their brokenness, then your presence is being used, not cherished. Letting go does not mean you do not care. It means you refuse to lose yourself in the process of trying to save someone who will not save themselves. It means you recognize that their healing is their responsibility, not yours. It means understanding that true love is not about self-destruction, but about mutual growth. The right people will not require you to diminish yourself to prove your loyalty. The right people will not expect you to carry their burdens while neglecting your own. The right people will walk with you in healing, not demand that you stand still in their suffering. You can support, but you cannot fix. You can love, but you cannot force change. You can be there, but you cannot make them choose a path they refuse to walk. Your soul is not meant to be sacrificed at the altar of someone else's refusal to heal.